Quick question.
Sure.
For someone that knows nothing about Webflow
Yeah.
or maybe nothing about marketing and growth, what is Webflow? What does it do for businesses?
So there's a couple ways of thinking about Webflow, I'd say. I mean, on one hand, it's just a website builder. But then I think it's slightly different in the sense that you can kind of build anything you want with it. So there's like a whole category of website builders like Squarespace, Wix. I mean, you've heard of them all. But a lot of them keep you very templated in basically by trying to hide what's actually going on in the back end, like the code, and not basically allowing you to do whatever you want because they think people are going to fuck it up, which a lot of people basically will. But where Webflow is unique is it's more of like a visual development platform. So it doesn't hide you away from the CSS and HTML. It just puts it in like a visual way. So you can build anything you want. There's a bit more of a learning curve because of that. But once you get over that, you can basically build anything you want and you kind of have unlimited freedom to do what you want with websites. That's kind of what I realized over the years of using it. And that's why I think they'll kind of beat other website builders because in the end, they're not restricting you in any sort of way. You can kind of really build whatever you want. It allows for like a great ecosystem of developers as well because it introduces people to like more advanced topics by making it like more appealing, if that makes sense. And why it's so great for marketing and growth teams, because of what I just mentioned. It's easy and it's quick and it's very visual. So in some sense, they can come in and like do edits and stuff themselves. But also it's extremely quick and the kind of like changing to publishing cycle is really fast. I know you definitely would have noticed that, Ben. We made changes almost every day. And I think that's the nature of websites now. It used to be more of like a one and done thing. Now you take like a year to build a website and then it was published and then you probably wouldn't make any changes for maybe like 6 months or you need a new page here and there. But now a website is kind of always evolving, you know what I mean? Especially if you're a growth team. You need a new landing page. You need to make changes to this copy. You want to A/B test that. You have to make changes and make them really quickly. And I think that's where Webflow is like really powerful.
Nice, cool. And what company were you at? And you know, what were your roles or maybe your responsibilities when you first got to grips with Webflow?
So I'd say it was at the back end of the place I was at before, Ben, Paperclip. It was like a marketplace similar to like Spock or Vinted and stuff like that. And I guess I just got slightly frustrated at the end. Every time you wanted to make a change to the website, we had to go to our like development team, and they were just super busy with other things. Like, you know, they don't have the time or the energy to help you, and it's just like a silly marketing thing. So basically, the changes you wanted would never get done, or it would take a lifetime. So what I ended up doing was rebuilding our like landing page website in Webflow, and kind of taking it to my CEO boss, Rich, at the end and being like, look, listen, I've done this. It's basically the same thing, but we can make changes whenever we want. We ended up never like releasing it and going with it because I ended up basically leaving. There was no point during that period, but I kind of opened my eyes to me. It's like, oh shit, like I can actually do this. Like from where I was pretty much like afraid of code and stuff like that before, I didn't want to get involved in case I messed it up or it's too complicated, it wasn't for me. I now gave me like a bit of confidence to do that. So ever since then, any like side hustle idea I'd have or like website I wanted to build, directories, whatever, I was building it in Webflow, finding a way to do it. Eventually managed to get a few like freelance clients on the side, and it kind of just built and snowballed from there. When I got to Ben, they had a Webflow site. And so me being like very keen at the beginning, trying to like impress, I was like, oh, I can do this. Like, let me take this on, this, that, and the other. Ended up taking it on. And then the Ben website, Ben did really well in the end. The website got massive. We grew really quick. And it basically became my full-time job there as well. So that's how I kind of transitioned from marketing into Webflow development. But I like to consider myself, especially now I've kind of started my own thing, I'm never going to let those like marketing skills go. And I think I'll be using them a lot. And that's going to be kind of like my niche to pitch to marketing teams, as I know kind of what you need. Mm-hmm. But I can also develop it as well a week later. But yeah.
That's cool. I like that. And then what is the name of your agency and how would you describe its kind of core value proposition in a quick elevator pitch?
Yeah, so it's called Jimmy's World. I don't really know where it came from, just kind of sounded cool. Jimmy's World without the O. because I couldn't get the domain, obviously.
I thought when I saw the Jimmy's World thing, I thought it was a reference to, you know, whenever you're like learning some kind of like coding language, the first thing is hello world.
Yeah.
I thought it might be a reference to that.
Yeah, so there's a couple things it kind of reference to. One of them is that that kind of like my kind of like story or arc, whatever it is, that I kind of overcame the fear of code, and then through Webflow, so I still use no or low code tools, but I'm not afraid to do it anymore. So that is part of the reference. There's also really random, but there's like a rapper who died, you know, Juice WRLD.
I don't know.
No, but anyway, he's kind of like got a very like cult following. I listen to a lot of his music and stuff like that, and he adds the world without the O. So that's kind of where the idea came from. So let me try this. Domain was free. And then obviously also the domain as well. Like you've got have.com, and it worked pretty well. I think it's quite distinctive and people will remember it. But in terms of what I'm trying to achieve with it, I noticed at Ben that there was like a real need to have someone there, like almost like all the time, to kind of create like these new pages, these new tests, this and the other with Webflow. And whilst like the marketing team could do it, that a lot of the time it would lead to errors, or it wasn't done correctly, it wasn't done with best practices, and that's what they really need, right? Like you need a fast website that can scale with you really quickly. So I noticed that need, spoke to a few other people, started working with a few different clients, and just noticed, this is kind of like a common thing. Like growth teams need like a developer on hand. Oftentimes they don't have the budget. Like it was kind of lucky at Ben that I transitioned into that role, because they maybe wouldn't have the budget to get someone full time, and there's not a lot of people out there with those skills, and they don't want to like pull engineering in because they don't want to waste their time, because at startup, when you're growing really quick, those resources are so valuable. Like they need to be spending all their time on the product, so pulling them into like a marketing website is just going to be painful, either for engineering, they're going to lose that time, or marketing, they're going to end up waiting ages for engineering to make changes and stuff like that. So yeah, notice the niche, and I'm using my expertise in growth and my expertise in Webflow. It's kind of like my Venn diagram, somewhere in the middle. I can invite